I am a huge coward. The farthest I've gotten in Five Nights at Freddy's is when an animatronic starts moving around on night one, and then I rage quit. Or fear quit, I guess. I've been scared of dolls for years after just seeing the Annabelle trailer, and I still haven't even seen the movie. So when me and my sisters started playing the Resident Evil games, it took us half an hour to, very bravely, finish the tutorial of Resident Evil 2. By now, we've finished both Resident Evil 2 and the Resident Evil 3 remakes, and what's so intriguing about these games is that they don't only rely on jump scares or creepy monster designs, but instead they use your own instincts against you. You can't even trust yourself while playing. How do they manage this? Before we start, I'd like to mention that I'm only using maps and enemies from the Raccoon City Police Department for my visual examples, but the same goes for everywhere else you go in Resident Evil 2 and 3. I just don't want to draw all of those maps. The first thing I noticed across the games was how they used the lighting to their advantage when tailoring every single room to be in the perfect atmosphere. For example, in the Resident Evil 2 police station, the main hall is very brightly lit and warm-toned, and it's no coincidence that this area is your main safe area for much of the game. On the other hand, the more dangerous parts of the police station will have gritty, dim lighting, or usually none at all. Anything could be hiding in the corners, just waiting to jump out at you, and that's really all you can think about when you first explore the police station. The coolest part about this detail is that it doesn't just stop there. There's also countless in-between zones of the game, where it's not completely dark and dangerous, or perfectly lit and safe either. The laboratories in RE2 and RE3 might have bright lighting for the most part, but it's also that stark white fluorescent lighting that hospitals have. This keeps you, or at least it kept me and my sister, generally anxious the entire time we were stuck in them. Or there's the smaller save rooms across the games, like in the sewers, police station, or the RE3 hospital. They may have lighting of some sort to draw you closer to it, but it definitely won't be a candlelit sanctuary. Usually they have this greenish tinge to it too, like a Twilight movie, to keep you from getting too relaxed. While I'm not very experienced in game design or cinematography, this did really remind me a lot of how tone is used in writing. It works very similarly to writing in film and video games, as different writing styles can make you feel certain ways throughout a story. Then, writers can completely change the tone, and it leaves you feeling just as jarred as when the power goes out in a horror game. I think the most famous example of this is Gone Girl. You start out thinking it's a mystery/crime novel about a man's wife going missing, and it's obvious that the husband had something to do with it. Then, once you feel safe in this assumption, the author completely twists the narrative on you. Resident Evil 2 does a very similar thing here with the main room I brought up earlier, but for this twist in the game to make sense, I'll have to explain another tactic Capcom uses to keep us feeling scared while playing their games. The way each and every area in video games are set up is completely intentional, especially in the Resident Evil series. When you're dealing with smaller, maybe simpler, but also more plentiful enemies, like the classic zombies or even the zombie dogs later on, the game will usually keep you in very open rooms and spaces. You have nowhere to hide in here, and the zombies are coming at you from every angle, so it's very easy to feel overwhelmed and terrified as they swarm you. The zombie dogs, in particular, work really well in areas like these. For example, in the police station garage in RE2, a whole group of them come at you at once. They're really quick and agile, so they'll run circles around you faster than you can even keep track of them. But, on the other hand, as you progress further into the games, the enemies get more difficult and even scarier to deal with. Looking back on the zombie dogs, I'd much rather take those over the stalker enemies like Tyrant or the Nemesis. Larger enemies like these, and the lickers or the sewer monsters, will be put in tighter and more confined spaces than what suits zombies. There's really no way around them in these small areas. That's what makes it perfect for you to be forced to face them head on, and die, or run away, especially when it's in twisting hallways and rooms full of nooks and crannies. The most clever usage of space to scare you is in RE2. About halfway through exploring the police station, you end up freeing the Tyrant and allowing him to chase after you. The placement of where this happens is incredibly intentional. You're left with only one way to run away from him, and it's into that main safe area I brought up earlier. Spoiler alert, but as he chases you through the building, you run from room to room and eventually into that large safe zone, and he follows you. No other enemy does that. To rattle the player even more, this timing is paired with when one of the only friendly NPCs in the game, Marvin, finally dies and turns into a zombie. So both your late friend and the Tyrant are chasing you around this place you once deemed a safe haven. For me, this was the absolute scariest part of Resident Evil 2, and maybe out of all of the 2.5 games I've played so far. I'm a claustrophobe and I really hate loud noises, so this was definitely an experience. If you had a different scary experience, let me know in the comments. I bet it had something to do with space and lighting. This speeds up the pacing of the game tremendously. There's no hiding around or lollygagging from here on out, but you're forced to run room to room with very few places to hide in between. Pacing and space often work hand in hand in video games and films like this. But that's not it. Space and lighting are only one, maybe two of the human senses, and there's a really important one we haven't touched on: sound. Every noise, or lack thereof, scares the life out of you on your first playthrough. Remember earlier when I mentioned that it took me and my sister half an hour to finish the tutorial in RE2? Yeah, that was with the music muted because it scared us too much. And then the silence scared us without the music. That's because silence is never just silence in Resident Evil, or in horror games in general. It's paired with ambient sounds like the nighttime rain in RE2 or the floorboards creaking underneath you, as well as the distant growling of whatever enemy you're doomed to face next. When you're placed in these dark, dead quiet rooms, every tiny noise is only feeding your paranoia. And then when the zombies and tyrants or whatever else following you finally finds you, the music kicks in. All of the action paired with a sudden influx of sound is made to overstimulate you, which makes everything way scarier. Each song in the soundtrack is specifically designed to maximize this too. The Tyrant's theme song, for example, is so loud that it sounds like someone is stomping right up behind you, and this only plays when he's actively chasing you. It makes him feel like he's way closer, like he's breathing down your neck. And if you successfully hide away from him, you have to listen to his stomping around the building to see how close or far away he is to you in the now very few safe areas. Another specific example are the zombie dogs I brought up from before. They're fast and they're running all around you, right? And they also won't stop barking. It's even more overwhelming with their barking. You can hear them more often than you can see them, and even worse, the barking makes you feel bad. Well, it makes me feel bad because I love dogs. Hearing the barking makes me not want to shoot them, and then my common sense says I have to shoot them because they will kill me. Blending different emotions together with fear is another great way of keeping the player on their toes. Like I said, when you make someone just feel scared, it usually wears off quite fast. Think of Five Nights at Freddy's. You get jump scared, and then you maybe gamer rage for a while, and then you try again and the cycle restarts. Or you win, but we both know I haven't gotten that far yet. Plain adrenaline always fades eventually. Nobody's really scared when thinking back to the FNAF jump scares, but I still get a sick feeling in my stomach whenever I think of that spider maze in Resident Evil 3. Ugh. What Resident Evil does is it takes that fear and adrenaline and layers other emotions on top of it. In Resident Evil 2, that's typically sadness, with Leon and Ada, Marvin's death, Sherry's whole backstory with her parents. It's a really sad game. God, don't even get me started on how depressing it is that Leon never got to have a normal first day. That's sad. The games also often use disgust to make you more scared. There's the spider den that I already mentioned in RE3. Ew. And then there's also the gross mutated zombies that suck your head off too, or the sewer monsters in each game. The grotesque aspects of the games grow more and more intense as the story goes on. Seeing William Birkin for the first time in Resident Evil 2 literally made my jaw drop. And blowing a perfect circle all the way through Nemesis in Resident Evil 2 was satisfying, but also very intensely disgusting. But the use of emotion in Resident Evil, and horror in general, doesn't have to be to make you more scared. Well, not right away. There's also plenty of lighter moments and short bursts of humor that lull the audience into a false sense of security, like with Leon's stupid one-liners or Carlos's and Jill's banter in RE3. Ironically, every time this has happened to me and my sister, we were immediately jump scared by the stupidest thing on the planet, but my point still stands. Emotions and psychology are complicated, and fear might be one of the most complex feelings of them all. It's one of our most innate instincts, so it's always going to be interesting when video games, or writers and designers of any medium, know how to use that instinct against their audience to make them feel exactly how the creators want. In Resident Evil, they do that in a myriad of ways, and I'm very excited and terrified to find out the rest of them as I keep going through the series. Right now I'm on RE4, the remake, and I'm already looking forward to making a video about Leon and Ada. If you're watching far enough into the future to where I've already done that, you can check it out now. If not, I have a couple other video game-based analyses for you to take a look at too. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video and want to see more analyses like these, and thank you so much for watching.